Oh, sorry. I just know words that are big.
But do you? Because you couldn't read apprehension.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Spirits and Ghost Stories. I'm your host, Thomas Aarons.
And Carly Bird.
So, we are here in the holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody as we get closer to that festive time, and happy Hanukkah for the people that aren't Christians.
Happy holidays.
Yes, happy
to
holidays.
all of our friends and followers.
Now, today, as you can tell, we have no drinks up there because we are doing a little sobriety thing. You know, at Spirits and Ghost Stories, we believe in drinking responsibly. We are in this cutting phase. She is trying to be a power lifter, and so she's not allowed to drink alcohol. And I am trying to do this dieting as well. It is not working out as much, but I have quit alcohol until I don't quit alcohol anymore. So
you definitely need to have a deadline. Christmas.
Fine, Christmas.
Just say until Christmas.
Ooh, our Christmas episode will do eggnog.
There you go.
There you go. So yeah, a couple weeks, and then we'll be back on the alcohol train. That sounds really bad when I say it like that. We're going to take a couple days off of our addiction, then we'll be right back on it. Don't worry, folks. We'll be here for your amusement. Anyway, we have a great scary thing in the news for you guys, and we have a fun little holiday story. Brought to you by yours truly, Carly Bird.
All right. Should we just jump in?
Let's just go into it.
Okay. So obviously holiday season's coming up. It's December, the first week of December, and I am in the festive mood. I don't know what's gotten into me. I'm not usually like a Christmas person. I'm all about Halloween.
She's huge into Christmas nesting right now.
Yeah. Well, he says that just because I decorated the tree. All right, that's how much I'm
and
not a Christmas person.
And the railing.
I decorate the railing every year.
That's Christmassy. Not like our neighbor. We love you, Bradley. He's an elf.
Okay, literally all I do is I put garland on our, what's it called, banister.
That's what that is.
Up the stairs with lights. And then I put lights on the Christmas tree and little Christmas ornaments.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I do to decorate for Christmas. Like, our Halloween decorations are still up. Our neighbors think that we're still doing Halloween. Like, I still have pumpkins in the kitchen and in the living room, and then our front door has a spider on it. And I don't know. I got the spider from the dollar store, as tacky as that sounds, and I really think it's cute. It's got these cute little googly eyes. It's so stupid. But I decided that he is now a Christmas spider, and I put a little plaid red and white Christmas bow on him. I tied it around his neck. So now he's a Christmas spider, and he can stay up till I take all the Christmas ornaments down. That's my excuse. All right. So anyway.
Oh, and a Christmas tree. We got to pet a llama,
nope.
Alpaca.
He almost got it.
I was so close. I was like, wait a minute. We just watched a YouTube channel on this thing, and it was like a llama is actually bigger than an alpaca, which I didn't know about that. And also with an alpaca, it actually is like fluffy, whereas a llama's not fluffy.
Tom learned a lot on Sunday. Was it Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about llamas because we went to pick our tree because we're like those people that like we don't just get a tree. You don't just.
It's not about that.
Buy it.
It's not about buying like a fake tree.
Woods. It's going out and experience.
It's going out into nature and experiencing the argument that happens every single year out in the forest, saying, I think that this Christmas tree will fit our living room. And someone else going, no, that one's much too round and tall. We have to get something else. And then we go back and forth until finally we go with the tree that I wanted to get all along. And then we pay way too much money for it and we put it in the car. And we bring it home and then I decorate it.
I think the money's worth it.
Oh, every year. Yeah, for sure. Because it's the experience.
I mean, that's what you're paying for. It's
exactly.
The hot chocolate, walking around looking for the tree.
Petting the llamas or the alpacas.
Alpacas. Yeah, I see you did it too.
I did.
Versus like just ordering it like food from the internet and driving to your house. At that point, like what's the point in Christmas?
Right.
But anyway, to the story.
Anyway, all of that to say, I am in the Christmassy mood, so I decided to go ahead and kick off the first week of December with a Christmas holiday-themed spooky story. So everyone, prepare yourself for the tale of Merry Critmas. Today is 2 days away from the anniversary of my niece's death. No one knows how she died except her mother, who passed away recently, and me. I do not know how to tell you, but I need to tell someone. No one would believe me anyway. They'd lock me up like they locked up my sister. I wouldn't blame them. I hardly believe what happened myself. Bethany was going to be 10 years old the day after Christmas, the year she died. She still believed in Santa. I thought she was too old for that shit, but her parents thought it was cute. They did everything they could to keep her from realizing it was just a lie. Bethany loved Christmas, and Santa, and elves, and all of that. She used to tell me about an elf that would hide in her house. I just thought her parents must have been hiding a toy elf or something, but I asked them about it and they said they didn't have any elf dolls. I thought they were joking. Bethany's stories about the elf started getting stranger. She told me that one night she woke up to the elf sitting on the dollhouse next to her bed, watching her with its empty glass eyes. After that night, she said the elf turned bad. She said it would move around her room, making strange noises at night. And she told me if she tried to get out of bed, the elf would run towards her and bite and claw her feet and ankles. The elf, she said, had too many teeth, which were long and thin but not pointed. She said its nails were long and sharp like claws. Of course, I didn't believe her, but then she showed me the scars and the fresh bite marks. The bite marks were normal, human-sized, but very deep, and definitely with more teeth marks. That's when I started to worry. I didn't believe in the elf at that point. I thought maybe she was doing it to herself. And I thought she might have been seriously, mentally ill. I wish I was right. I told my sister my concerns about her daughter. She was worried too, so she found a psychiatrist for her. I thought that would help Bethany, but as Christmas came nearer, she seemed to get worse. I was staying over at my sister's house for Christmas Eve, and Bethany asked me to sleep in her room to protect her from the elf. I said yes. I thought that it was a good idea so I could figure out what was going on with her. Maybe she was biting her own ankles in her sleep. That night, Bethany woke me up and asked if I would get her some water. She didn't want to get up because she was afraid the elf would attack her.
That's sound logic, honestly.
I didn't want to leave the poor girl in there alone, so I told her she had to come with me. She didn't want to, but I wouldn't let her stay. I should have listened. Oh God, maybe she would still be alive if I had listened. It's my fault she's dead. When we got by the door, I saw it. The elf was tall, with strange teeth and blank white eyes. I thought I was imagining it, so I turned on the light. It didn't go away. I thought I should have tried to leave. I know I should have tried to leave, but instead I tried to take a picture of it. As soon as I did, it started to run at us so fast I could barely see it. Everything happened so fast. Bethany, who had been standing so still, pushed me out of the room so hard that I fell to the floor. The door slammed shut. All I could hear was a voice screeching so loudly. I could hardly hear Bethany's screams. It sounded like the voice was saying, "Merry Christmas," but it wasn't pronounced right. It sounded like "Merry Christmas." Anyway, I was trying to get back in the room, but the door was locked. I tried to kick it down, but I wasn't strong enough. I ran into the kitchen to find something to break the door as I called the police. They thought it was a joke. I don't understand how they didn't hear the screaming. How did her parents not wake up? I found a brick and decided that was good enough to make a hole in the door or something. Suddenly I heard a ripping sound, and the screams and screeches stopped. I cautiously opened the door, which somehow unlocked itself, and the walls and the bed and all of her toys and furniture were bright red, soaked in Bethany's blood. On the floor, the elf was hovering over Bethany's corpse. It was split in half, vertically, and the elf was wearing her intestines around its neck and eating them. I screeched louder than I had ever screamed before. Bethany's mother finally came to the room and saw what had happened. She didn't even make a sound. She just stared at the horrifying scene. We closed the door and put things in front so it wouldn't open. We went into the living room to wait for the police. When the police finally arrived, they questioned us and her husband, who hadn't heard a thing. I couldn't say anything. It was like a dream. So unreal. I just sat there staring into space. The only one who told the police what happened was my sister. The police removed the barricade from the front of Bethany's room, but when they opened the door, nothing was there. The blood was gone. The elf. Bethany. Everything. The room looked completely normal. Besides snow blowing in from the window, everything was gone like magic. The police started a search party. They thought she ran away. After everyone left, I stood in her room alone and cried. I heard the sound of bells, and then I heard the elf whispering, "Merry Christmas." I ran out of there. It's been a year now since Bethany's death. After Bethany died, my sister's mental health began to deteriorate. She boarded up the doors and windows of Bethany's old room. She never slept anymore. We found her trying to cut open her stomach several times, and we had to have her live in a mental hospital, where she ended up killing herself by making a noose out of her bed sheets. Now, I'm the only one who knows what happened. Everyone else still thinks she's missing. I don't go near that house anymore. I can't bring myself to talk to Bethany's father, but no matter what I do to forget what happened that night, I can't. Sometimes I still hear the elf's voice at night, and I'm afraid it's going to kill me next. It's almost Christmas. And that was the tale of Merry Christmas.
Woo! Carly Bird coming in hot and heavy. She's had about 9 weeks off from doing stories, but goddamn, she brought the thunder tonight. Holy crap, that thing escalated quickly.
I know, right? Split her in half.
Oh my God.
The whole thing is, where did Bethany's aunt, I'm assuming it's an aunt, find a brick? That was the one thing. I wanted to pause during the story and be like, where did she get a brick from? Because I assumed she was searching the kitchen, but she found a brick in the kitchen.
I mean, I guess like the shock thing too would be there. Like I wonder about that, like just the pure shock of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like would that stop you from helping?
Helping in what situation? She was already dead.
Like charging it.
The door was closed. She couldn't get in to charge it.
Afterwards. The parent, okay. The parent, like, I don't know. Like,
oh, you mean the mother, when the mother walked into the room and saw the thing like hovering over Bethany's body. Yeah. Why didn't the mother do anything?
But
I shock. You're right.
I think it's shock. So example is I was the other night, this didn't help me sleep. I listened to like the Grizzly Man Diaries, and there's this guy that like went out with his girlfriend to like document grizzly bears, and he left a camera on and he got eaten alive in front of the camera. And all that's left is the audio of it.
What?
And so you can hear the guy getting eaten and yelling for help. And then you hear the girl and she's like in utter shock. Wouldn't help. And you can hear the guy like die and then like the crunching bear. And then she ended up getting eaten too. Blah, blah, blah,
what? She got eaten too?
But anyway, it's just the audio. But the point was, and that whole story was like, it's so funny. This kind of ties back there where like she really didn't. I think she ended up trying to hit it with a frying pan or something like that.
Yeah.
They didn't have a gun. The point was like there's a time there where she was like in shock. It wouldn't help. And then you can hear that in the audio. And so I think it's interesting in this where it's like, if you saw something like that, do you help or do you go straight into shock?
Right.
And it's also ties back to something else. This is a tangent, guys. Sorry. I was listening to that one podcast episode where they actually have drugs they can give you to make you go into a hallucinating state. Mm-hmm. So you actually forget the trauma.
Oh, wow.
And they use that apparently. This was that podcast we were listening to last night. He went into this like, so if you witness something super bad and you like get to the hospital in super shock, they can give you an injection of this and it helps you disassociate from what happened.
Okay.
So you can actually semi move on past it.
Get past it.
Yeah, because the PTSD would be so bad.
Right.
And that's a long way of saying like, if this happened, it would be like, okay, could we do something or wouldn't it? And like as guys, you're always like, oh, if I was in this situation, like everything would be fine. I'd be able to do it. But that's really not the case. Whether it's in a situation like this or a war movie, you realize like you will freeze up when you see some weird shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's intense. Now, so you think this is like has to do with like the Krampus mythology? And I remember last year we talked about Krampus and the good old Germans. They come up with some great kid stories.
Yeah, I actually don't know the history behind this story here.
It feels Krampusy to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the fact that it's an elf, but what I am still trying to picture, and I'm curious to know how you picture the elf in your mind. At first, obviously, you picture it as like a small little toy, right? And then you realize it's like eye level with the adult that was.
I think it's like Slender Man.
Kind of like that. But also, do you think that it looked more like a doll, or do you think that it looked like a monster wearing elf clothes?
I think it looked like Pinocchio in elf clothes.
That's exactly how I pictured it. Like Pinocchio with like white glass eyes, because it said glass eyes. So whenever it said that, it was like, okay, well, it must be like a toy elf come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. That is so. And then, did she do something wrong?
I never said anything.
Did
about
she
her
do
doing
something
anything wrong.
bad? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's like something like there with sins. Like now, like for some reason,
she's on the naughty list.
This is how my brain works, guys. By the way, so this reminds me of the Krampus story from last year. Somehow that triggered something in my brain.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that one of the kids was bad,
mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden,
that's why they got
jumped.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh shit, this is like something like that. We got Krampus somewhere on this wall, I think.
No, we don't.
That's Wendigo. That's Krampus.
That's not Krampus.
That's not Krampus?
No, that's also a Wendigo.
Two different Wendigos?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I never thought of that. I thought one was Krampus the whole time. Anyway, so there you go. I just learned something new about the wall.
We're going to put up Christmas lights on the wall again.
Yeah, we're going to really crank that up. Anyway, that was really good. So now, guys, it is time for scary things in the news, which literally
scary
this
things
could just
in the
I think
news.
this and Idiots of the Internet could be like its own segments, honestly. All right, this one's good. A Georgia lake's dark and deadly history has some people seeing ghosts. Legend has it that ghosts of a long dead woman roams this lake in a flowing blue dress. Mysterious arms reach out for swimmers from the watery depths. Angry spirits call people home to submerged graves.
Angry spirits call people home to submerged graves. Okay.
Is that what I said?
Nope.
What did I say?
You said anger.
You
said anger spirits call people home to submerged graves.
Listen, these anger peoples, when you're down in Georgia, man, you got that little woman that's tickling your balls like this in the water. You're like, hell no, I'm getting out.
Dim anger spirits calling them submerged graves.
These and other spooky tales have haunted.
Oh, good God.
Have haunted.
Start over.
We had a person on the show comment a couple back, like, how the hell is he still this bad after a year? And you know what? I don't take offense to that anymore. You're right. I don't know. I don't get this.
It's just who he is.
I can wing it. You could live stream right now and just tell me to wing it, and it would be perfect.
Oh, he'd be phenomenal.
But if I have to
he would whip out these vocabulary words you didn't even know existed, and somehow he'd make it make sense. And then he reads an article by CNN, and we got the anger spirits calling people home to submerge a grave.
Yeah. What's your name? Tom Timmons. These and other tales have haunted Lake Lanier in the foothills of northern Georgia mountains for decades. Too many Georgians, I think that's how you say it, Georgians,
yeah.
The large Serpentine Lake. Georgians the large. Too many Georgians the large. That's a weird
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Serpentine Lake northeast. Okay. Lake Lanier Serpentines is a big serpentine lake northeast of Atlanta. Is a recreational hotspot popular for boating and water sports. That's why we need to have more lakes built. But anyway, supernatural lore and urban legends about the lake have found respective audiences on social media where they've found legions of believers.
Ooh.
The lake was created in the 1950s by flooding valley communities that contained a cemetery, fueling beliefs that it's cursed. Historians say some unmarked graves and other structures were swallowed up by its waters. More than 200 people have died swimming and boating accidents on the lake since 1994, adding to its dark history.
That makes sense.
And the next Netflix drama is Azores.
Ozark.
Yeah. Which has its own high body count, filmed scenes at the lake.
Oh, I want to watch that.
Which is funny that they
I was told that was good.
It's funny because like the Ozark is based on the Ozark are mountains in Arkansas and stuff.
Huh?
And it's so funny because like there are a ton of bigger lakes than Lake Lanier.
But they still decide to film there.
Because that's where there's the new movie studio theaters are in Georgia now.
Oh, I didn't know.
They moved them out of Hollywood because of all the money and taxes and stuff.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, so the Azores, which has its own high body count film in the Little Lake. The stories about mysterious underwater sightings are eerie, especially at Halloween. But the true backstory of Lake Lanier, built over an underwater ghost town, is just as interesting.
Built over an underwater ghost town? Wait a minute, what?
They think it's built over an underwater ghost town. Now, so the issue I have with this, and we're going to get into the rest of it here in a minute, is the fact that most of the TVA system, the TVA during FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, World War II, Great Depression. He did this TVA system of lakes that were built through the Tennessee River Valley, Lake Gunnersville, Lake Chickamauga, blah, 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 Douglas, tons of lakes. Massive impoundments were built on the Tennessee Valley. Tons of towns were flooded by these things. So why is this one specifically haunted?
Oh.
It's not new that a old town was flooded when a lake was built. These massive, super big lakes.
Oh.
Tons of, like, because the thing about, like, in West Virginia, places like that where you have the hollers. A holler is basically, and again, I apologize to my West Virginian lore people. A holler is basically a valley, a small valley.
Right.
Maybe with one entrance and exit. You dam that up, guess what? All the little buildings get flooded. Before the land was buried in water, it was lush fertile with rabbits and squirrels scampering about.
Cramping about.
Oh, they probably would get cramped if they're scurrying too much. Communities thrive with fancy names like Castleberry Bottom and Russell.
No, Castleberry Bottom.
Oh, Russell said. Okay. Sorry.
The author?
It's just thinking like with fancy names like Castleberry Bottom and Russell.
No, that's the name of the author.
It's funnier the way I said it. Like, oh, damn, that name's not as funny. It's like,
Russell.
oh, whatever. And Jim. I was like, okay. Then came the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which wanted to create a lake to provide Atlanta and the surrounding countries with power and water. Pretty smart. The government offered local money for their farms. Most of it had been in families for generations, making it almost impossible to put a price tag on it, said Russell, a writing instructor for the Georgia Northwest Technical College and author of several books on the lost towns of northern Georgia. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid the true value of the land and buildings, but residents found it hard to price generations of memories, hard work, and deep roots. Russell wrote in her book, Underwater Ghost Towns of Northern Georgia, a host of emotional accompany the talk of recreation, relocation, anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, bewilderment, and apprehension. To them, their land was priceless. Eventually, some 700 families sold a total of 56,000 acres to the government, which built a dam on the Chattahoochee River. Well, why is it?
How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know why I can say Chattahoochee.
I'm looking at it, I'm like, Chattahoochee.
Yeah, remember? And way out down the Chattahoochee. Never knew how much.
I didn't know that's how it was spelled.
Oh, sorry. I just know words that are big. To form the lake.
But do you? Because you couldn't read
that. We're gonna cut. That's gonna be the intro to this.
But do you? Because you couldn't read apprehension.
Apprehension, Chattahoochee, they're the same thing. As their land filled with water in 1956, locals jammed roads and bridges to watch as history vanished before their eyes. Whatever they had abandoned was covered by the rising water. Even the lake's name was contagious. Some locals wanted to name it after Georgia's politicians. Others sought to name it after a legendary football coach. Eventually, they decided to name it after Sidney Lanier, an 18th century Georgia poet who wrote Song of the Chattahoochee. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
That's pretty neat.
Okay, naming the lake after a poet. Like, I don't see the problem with that. Some families, so anyway, that kind of gets to that and the history of it. If you go down here, let's get it right over. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Watery sights and the Lady of the Lake. Over the years, divers have reported creepy sightings beneath the murky water. Some tell stories of freaky catfish as big as Volkswagens. That's actually probably true. YouTube is filled with divers showing videos of sunken houseboats and piles of debris. Between 1994 and October this year, which would be 2022, 203 people have died in drownings and boating accidents on Lake Lanier, according to Mark McCoyne of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. In 2017, longtime diver Buck Buchanan. Sorry, I don't know why I tried to.
Buchanan. This looked like
I tried to use hooked on phonics there. Buchanan told locals, God, thank God I don't live in Japan or someplace for a while. You know how to start a war. Trying to say that.
Ni hao, ching hao. That's how. Hey, where's the bathroom? Ming hao, ching hao.
You remember Tropic Thunder, where Robert Downey Jr. in blackface tries to speak Vietnamese? He's like, Dong Jing Wah He, Hon He.
That's you. That's you trying to read English.
Longtime diver told the local media that he has sometimes felt body parts in the lake during his many excursions. You reach out into the dark and you feel an arm or a leg and it doesn't move, he said. But that has not affected the lake's popularity. With about 12 million visitors last year, Lake Lanier was one of the most visited Army Corps engineer built lakes in the nation. Said, and so partially here, they're getting into the haunted stuff, and I want to get back to some of this stuff here in a minute because I think this is really important.
Okay.
Right over here. There we go. Lake Lanier's size, popularity contributed. While we recognize that urban legends can develop over time, first and foremost is our concern for public safety, he said. So we certainly do not want to create an inviting atmosphere for the curious to come out to Lake Lanier for urban legends exploration and the Lady of the Lake. So anyway, basically what this talks about, and we get into the legend here, is according to the story, a Ford sedan carrying two women careened off a bridge in April 1958 and tumbled into the lake. Some say ghosts of the woman, dubbed the Lady of the Lake, wanders the bridge at night in a blue dress, lost and restless.
Oh.
And she'll drag people down to the abyss. So what's so interesting about this article to me is like it talks about the urban lore of the Lady of the Lake. It talks about how like the pros and cons of like lake building, which I'm probably use this article for my other podcast too because I think it's really interesting. Where anyway, don't want to get into that whole environmental stuff. We'll say that for another show.
Anyway,
but the fact of like ginormous catfish,
yeah,
could probably be mistaken for a monster.
Yeah.
And when I say ginormous, guys, I'm not saying like we have these here, but imagine something like that.
I mean, that's a really big fish. That's terrifying.
That's a catfish.
Yeah.
No, that's a Wells catfish.
Could something like that hurt you?
That will eat you.
For real?
That thing will eat you.
That's what I was going to ask.
They've been documented actually and we're going to have a catfish
Look at this
episode.
guy. Why are they catching him if they could eat him? That's dangerous.
Why would a man hunt something that could kill him?
Well,
I mean, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. And kitties, big kitties. But yeah, Wells catfish have been documented for like 300 to 400 years in Europe, like eating people.
True.
There's actually a really cool, I gotta show you this. This is all
It's a big ass fish. What is this? What are you showing me? I'm gonna get kicked off our platform. You're not allowed to do this.
Oh, fine. I muted it. Watch this thing.
Okay. There's a fish sitting there. Bunch of pigeons. Just getting their pool on. Splashy splashing, having a good old summer outing with the fam.
So the fact is that these catfish are such good predators with sight and with their ability to understand what's going on.
That catfish is just chilling there, just watching the birds.
It's like a crocodile.
Waiting for its moment. Boom. Whoa! He just sucked him in. Gulp. That bird just disappeared.
Watch again.
Bird's fluttering away. He's like, I think I'm just gonna... Holy moly. They was gonna fly away. Nope.
Looks at the one.
Yeah. Boom.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So they hunt. They'll hunt birds and stuff. So
yeah, they were watching the birds.
The point is, if a catfish actually does get big enough, it probably would have a go at a person. So I think that's absolutely 100% probable that it could be a big catfish there. It could be somebody that actually fell out like a body or something like that. But I think it's also, could it be a ghost?
I mean, yeah.
And honestly,
at the end of the day, especially if they see her on the bridge.
And honestly, like to me, it's like, what makes a grave haunted? So Lake Lanier is probably not the only lake that has like graves at the bottom of a lake. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of big lakes. We all agree with that. So if Lake Lanier is haunted, I remember like a couple episodes ago, we talked about those ghost chasers at that other lake.
Yes.
And so yeah,
I remember that.
So there's a lot of lakes, there's graves. What if this one is true? Why is this one true and the others aren't?
Well,
is there something about the unmarked graves?
A massive impact or like a huge emotional happening that causes a ripple in space and time.
Well, doesn't because these are clearly the people that know everything about paranormal, supernatural. Doesn't it talk about graves having to be marked or something like that?
Graves being marked?
Like you can't just throw somebody in the ground. You actually have to put a stone and everything else like that. They have to be put to rest.
No, you have to burn the body.
I thought there's something else too. Like no, you burn the body if they're haunted, right?
No, you just burn the body so they can't come back and haunt you.
So
that's the best way. When a person dies, you burn the body.
So that's with everybody?
Yeah.
So as soon as they die, you just burn them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought there's something else to it too.
No, I don't remember there being
like
anything.
A curse or something.
No, the only thing. So if the body's not burned, then it can come back and haunt you. Or if let's say the body wasn't burned and then there was something else, like say the person used their blood for a painting, you'd also have to scorch the painting.
Okay.
To end the hauntings. See what I'm saying? So you have to get rid of all of their DNA. Scorch it. I don't know that there's anything about marking graves besides respecting the people that died.
You know, it'd be a good episode. We should do an episode on curses.
Yeah.
Get a little bit more information there because I really would like to know what would make you become a ghost. And I know the negative stuff, if you die tragically or brutally, that'll make you into a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely I think it's a happy thing. It's my life was really good, I'm going to haunt people. It's usually tragedy.
Right.
So with her, was she murdered?
Mm-hmm.
They say there's 2 women in a car. How do you know that?
Right. And why does only one come back?
Yeah.
To haunt people.
Guys, these are the questions. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next week on Spirits and Ghost Stories. Bye.